right. And I think we're live. Well, good morning, good evening, midday to all of the folks all around the world. It is, what is it, 8 o'clock here Pacific time, and Daniela, early afternoon or mid-afternoon for
It's
you?
like something like 5.
5. Well, cheers, and thank you for joining us. And for those who don't know, this is Cat.Fish, otherwise known as Daniela, who is leaving her paw prints all over the Cosmos community. But before I introduce her, I do just want to say a quick word about our sponsors. We have Sommelier Finance, which is the company that I work for. We're building a gravity bridge as well as tools for liquidity providers over on Ethereum. And we're building a product for Uniswap v3 liquidity providers. And also another one of our sponsors is OmniFlix Media. OmniFlix is run by Sisla, who helps me produce this podcast, but they're building tools for content creators in the decentralized web. So all kinds of cool NFT on Cosmos things, video content management platforms for large volumes of videos like this. And I think OmniFlix is used to manage conversations with Jack, as well as a number of other things, cool stuff like token-gated Telegram groups. And, OmniFlix is very deeply involved in this sort of topic of building community, which is what I wanted to bring Daniela on today to talk about as the community cat. So Daniela, do you want to give yourself a quick intro before we dive in here?
Really quick. I started not knowing anything about blockchain, I think 3 years ago. And I made a full immersion about Bitcoin and Ethereum in early 2019, I think, 2018, in early 2018. And I was pretty confused because I always hate math and programming and this kind of stuff. Always I'm a creative mind. I study art. So for me, math is just the opposite of what I am. So, but I was so interested and so involved, and I had the feeling that was something important, but something that you should invest your time in studying, in going more in depth into. And even if I was not completely sure about what I was doing, I ended up working for a company with Commercial, who was building a Cosmos SDK chain at that time.
Oh yeah.
And that brought me at the hackathon in Seoul, and I participated at the hackathon. And that is where everything started. I fell in love with Cosmos. I met, I don't know, a bunch of people. I don't know, there was Billy, there was, I don't know, just
Billy's fantastic.
Yeah, I know, and I don't know, I was totally unaware about Cosmos at the time of the hackathon. And basically, Billy spent all the time translating in common language what people were talking about, at the party, Cosmos party at the Nonce community rooftop for Cosmos.
Yeah.
So I think that was the imprinting I had about Cosmos. So a community of people, of amazing people who make you feel involved all the time. That was the value I felt from Cosmos, not just technology, but people that want to involve non-technical people and make them aware of what they are building. And that was the game changer for my life, because I started to study and go in depth about Cosmos. And at the same time, I wanted to be the same that Billy was for me that night. So I wanted to start helping people and start spreading in a in low key level what Cosmos represents, what is Cosmos vision, make this technology more at a user level experience. That was my belief, and I just started from there.
That really resonates with me. Ever since I started in technology a few years back, I've always kind of thought of my role as explaining these complex systems to a broader group of users. And I'm normally, on the technical side, one of the first people who comes in and learns about these new systems and helps those folks, explain that to the next group of users. And what you do is broaden that group even much further. And I think that as people who build technology, that's actually some of the most important work we can do. And I think that a lot of people who code aren't A, naturally good at it, and B, don't naturally want to do it. And that's why roles like evangelism and ecosystem development and community development, like what Daniela does, is so important. It's because we need to explain this to more people. Otherwise, our dreams of replacing the global financial system, which sounds kind of crazy when you say it out loud, and bringing tens of millions to hundreds of millions to billions of new people onto these kinds of platforms, there's a lot of education that needs to happen. And Daniela is at the front lines of that every day.
Yeah, I think like in this period of time from the Soul Hackathon in 2019 and to now, a lot of things changed. Like even Cosmos itself, like evolved, like from just the mainnet launch, we are like in the IBC era, and this is just crazy. Like this is crazy, and just like sometimes I wake up and I feel just really lucky because I was at the right place at the right time, and I really feel that I have to share what was my luck to others, because like not everyone had this luck. Not everyone had in his life the occasion to be part of this kind of revolution, to be part of this changement. But this is not a reason why they should not be involved.
Yeah, I think people would like to hear a little bit more because, it is a lot of being in the right place at the right time. And my Cosmos journey started basically with a 10-minute phone call with Zaki. I had applied for a job a few times. I was really excited about what I had read about Cosmos at the time, but it wasn't until I finally got on the phone with Zaki and he was like, yeah, you're hired. Come on, come work on this thing. And I showed up at the office and I was like, oh, wow. And that's kind of how my Cosmos journey started. So I really feel very lucky for living in Berkeley at the time and having those software engineering skills that I had, identifying the project. But there's more than that. You have to go after it. You have to find it. You have to have that passion for it. And I think one of the reasons why you've ended up playing the role that you have in the community is because you bring that passion every day and you always show up and you're involved. And I think people would like to hear a little bit more about sort of your path on that and how, if they want to become involved in maybe a non-technical capacity with some other blockchain project, how do you do it?
I think the first thing we have to understand is that people are not numbers. So even if we receive the same question 10 times a day, this does not mean that we have to not reply or avoid to answer or do this kind of have this kind of attitude. Because the point is, every person is different. And if someone for some reason came in the channel just 5 minutes after another who ask exactly the same thing, we cannot pretend to have him, I don't know, but scroll up 50 or 15 or 30 messages. Because maybe this is the first crypto channel he goes into, and maybe he doesn't know how things really works. And maybe that small question is just the beginning of his journey. So one thing I will say is, even more than passion, to work with people in general, you have to be kind and be open. Never put your expectation to people. You should always be open to the other journey and to accept what is other background without having any kind of preclusion. This is kind of important. And
I think it's key. I think it's the most important thing. And I think especially communicating cross-culturally. You're in Italy, I'm in Berkeley, Sisla's over in India. That's the team on the podcast today. And I think that just goes to show how global Cosmos truly is. And when you're trying to communicate across language barriers, that type of empathy that you're talking about, that communication is not going to happen unless you bring that.
Another thing really important is we talk about luck, but at the same time, we build our own luck. because are our choice that build our luck. Because you can be lucky enough to be in a place in a certain moment, but even so, you have to keep building. Even if have not like you will not receive any good feedback at the very beginning, because before having a concrete feedback, I mean, like I was in the community, I think for something like 1 year before starting to have like a paid job. I mean, it's not that uncommon. I'm trying I'm trying to change this, because in my opinion, we are at the stage that we should really incentivize and not incentivize, reward people who show passion and show that they really aim to help others, because this is something really valuable. And I want to keep this kind of value inside the Cosmos ecosystem. But at the same time, we are all here to contribute to a really, really long vision project. So we should all be ready to invest and not see immediately result. Like we must start to learn to be patient. In my opinion, we have to be patient and be ready to see result over the time, as exactly Cosmos did. Because like when we launched the mainnet, like from that to IBC, like this target upgrade, like it takes quite a, for me, like for a human life, it takes quite a lot.
A while, yeah.
I mean, like, but we are here because we believe in the vision and we build over that vision. This is what can make the difference, even in the community management. Even if you have not a feedback from the community in 1, 2, 3, 4 days, if you keep helping, if you keep being a key member in the community, it will not pass too much time before someone will recognize your value, because there are a lot of people ready to recognize value in our ecosystem.
There's also a lot of people who need a lot of help too.
Yeah.
It's that's really well said, Daniela. And on the topic of sort of long-term participation and sort of this big arc that we've been on, we really crossed this key moment with IBC recently. You talked about sort of the hub launch and it being a couple of years. Like, I personally lived in 3 different places from the time the hub launched to the time when Osmosis launched. Like, there's a lot of change that's happened in a lot of our lives since then. But we are here now. We've had IBC launch. We're past Osmosis, and this topic of incentivizing people in the ecosystem, and Osmosis has been very, very forward on that, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how more projects sort of adopt that. Sommelier is watching that really closely, and then we've also got the Gravity Dex launch coming up. This is kind of a key inflection moment for IBC, and you've been leaving your paw prints all over it. So tell me a little bit more about sort of the Osmosis launch and how that's gone, and what you're looking forward to with the Gravity Dex.
I mean, I think people can tell that I was quite excited about Osmosis Launch. Like, I almost organized alone, like the launch party, the NFT
it was so
distribution.
Fun. I loved watching that, by the way.
I mean, like, I am just really random. I'm a kind of random person, but funny random person, maybe. But the point was, I was really interested in the social aspect of experiment. I'm always excited about technology, but as I'm more involved in the social part, I was really, really looking for how the community would have react to this kind of event, because it was the first of this kind.
Yeah.
I have to say that there are positive things and things, in my opinion, we have learned and we must improve. Like, the positive thing is that the fair drop gives people the sensation to have a power of and ownership over a newly created protocol. This is cool, because I saw a level of engagement that really not frequently I saw on Cosmos, for example. And this is cool in a new chain. Like, you need to have an engaged community to grow faster and healthy. From the other side, in my opinion, this brought to really a lot of passion and enthusiasm, but at the same time, people who wanted to see immediate result, the good and the bad, because like you gave ownership, but when people feel ownership, they feel they can decide for the project and they can pretend. This can put a lot of pressure in a team in the really early stage of a project. We are decentralized, so of course we should make governance proposal, we should discuss about stuff, but healthy discuss about improvement in a technology is totally normal, and we should incentivize this. And we should also normalize the fact we do not agree all the time, because this happens. But we should not normalize the fact that we feel we can tell to people how should they act, how should they think, and how should they work. This is not this is something
very counter to the ethos of Cosmos, I think.
Yeah, one thing I always loved about Cosmos is that there is this interchain vision, but not only about the interchain as a technology, but because of the collaboration there was over the year between the project. Because if you say Akash played a key role in the Stargate upgrade, Region Network worked a lot as well for Cosmos. Almost every team we know in some way contribute to the the growth of Cosmos that we know today. This is the key of Cosmos. This is the vision of Cosmos. Back together, we are way stronger than we should have been just one small team of developer. We are I don't know how many core team we are now. I don't know, 20.
Zucky wrote a blog post right before the Stargate upgrade went out last fall, and I think he highlighted 9 teams that were critical to that. I think we've added a couple since then, as far as core development teams.
I mean, this is a lot.
Yeah.
That means that a lot. But in my opinion, this is what makes Cosmos work.
I agree.
Because even if we are slower, because of course, if you are decentralized, taking decision and making changes take more time. Okay. But at the same time, you bring additional value that you alone will never be able to bring to your project. This is what I think compared to a community as well. We should never, something I kind of hurt me recently is to see, for example, too many emphasis on putting project against each other. This is not healthy, and this is not what Cosmos is. Because at the end of the day, even if there is coin swap from IrisNet, there is Osmosis, will be GravityDex protocol with Emery's dashboard, will be tons of amazing projects that the base of a protocol could be similar. But at the end of the day, they all have their own value. They all target to a different audience. They all target to different purposes. This is why we are a winning ecosystem, and we should keep going in this direction. Highlight our value and each project value rather than fighting and dumping at each other.
I think of this our competition is banks. And, while banks are competitive with each other, JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs work together on a ton of stuff. They're on a bunch of the same regulatory bodies, and they work together as a team to keep new entrants out of the market and do all kinds of stuff like that. The Cosmos community and IBC in general, I think we should all view ourselves as a team. And, the Thorchain folks have some really compelling products over there. The Terra folks build really compelling products. There's really cool stuff over on Osmosis, and GravityDex is coming up soon. And when we all interconnect those, yes, those products will be competing against each other, but having a common pool of liquidity that's able to seamlessly move between these different chains creates this common ecosystem that has characteristics that I think benefit positive sum interaction more than sort of this, negative or fixed sum, I want a bigger slice of the pie type of thing that we see in a lot of these traditional chains where, every new proof of work chain that launches is fighting every other new proof of work chain. Like, that's not the ecosystem we're building. That's not culturally the way Cosmos is. That's not, the way Cosmos is from a development standpoint. Like, the decentralization of development within Cosmos is, I think, second to none. Ethereum kind of has a similar dynamic. Bitcoin kind of wishes it had a similar dynamic. But it's really hard to sort of develop this type of thing. And you're really right to point that out as a key strength of the community.
Yeah, I think this is going to change. In not saying shortly, but it's going to change once blockchain will have more mass adoption. Like right now, we are always the same few people knowing the technology and talking about each other. But we still not have reached like the large majority of the people. Like we have I don't know, we are the 1% of the population, no less, way less than 1% of the population. Like once blockchain will be wider, we really see mass adoption. In my opinion, we see less this kind of fights against each other because everyone will find its own place, its own purpose, its own target. One thing I really, in my opinion, want to say that maybe changed my way to see crypto in general, was to see that you can really use crypto. Because for example, when I was in Korea, you were able to use crypto app as payment app.
Yep.
This was quite wow. If I tell to my father who worked in a bank for a while, you don't know.
Oh, your dad works at a bank too? Mine does too.
No, I'm not the right person. Like you can see me. How can I fit in a bank? And
me either.
and I was shocked because you always see crypto as something inside a computer, inside the internet, something very cool like NFTs, something really cool in the internet. But whoa, you can use it. This is real. Whoa. I think more whoa moment will create for the people, and then we'll see the change, man.
One sort of data point that I saw this morning to sort of back that up, Crypto.com, which is also based on Cosmos, just announced that their Visa card has done over $1 billion in sales over the last 6 months, which is just huge. I mean, that's people with a piece of plastic swiping that at a merchant, paying with crypto on the back end, which is just wild. So, I mean, the next 6 months, probably 10x that amount. And, these are the kind of numbers we see in crypto. We're talking quite a bit about sort of culturally, what are the things that make Cosmos distinct? What do we believe? And, we've seen a huge influx of folks with Osmosis. How do we kind of continue to maintain this sort of distinctive culture and this really inclusive view as we're going to see this huge influx of folks here with IBC? What are your ideas on that?
In my opinion, there should be more structure because when you are few, you can just act of kindness. You just act for kindness because you have the time to empathize with people because people are not number, and you have the time to talk with people and to call them by name and help them one by one. But we are becoming a huge number. We are attracting a huge amount of new user. And the approach I love, it's not feasible. This is not something that is sustainable in the long run. This is something I was quite talking a lot with Interchain Foundation that we have to find a way to make the not customer, but even only community support sustainable in the long run. This is something we must do because the entry level right now on Cosmos is still too high. We pretend that people study before get interest about Cosmos, and this is not how things works. Like people must be interested, and if they want to study more, we should give them the possibility and the material to study more. But at the beginning, we have to create interest with like really low key content, and we are still missing a lot on this.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just taking a peek here. There are a few community questions. But before we get to that, I did want to sort of talk about, as we're talking about this sort of influx of users, one of the things that's bringing folks in, airdrops, first Osmosis, and Juno's coming up, and potentially some other ones. Do you want to talk a little bit about sort of those airdrops, how they're continuing to kind of put that equity out into the community, continuing to engage those folks? How do you view airdrops?
So the first thing I want to say is that back to February, I would have really liked to kill Sunny because of the airdrop before Target upgrade.
Totally. I remember that.
I had some kind of like homicide instinct like against Sunny, I think. But even so, like because it brought confusion. And the last thing I want is to see airdrop hunters like attacking our community, because we have an amazing, healthy community at this time. But what I discovered, because like I'm learning every day, and I discovered that I'm wrong the most of the time, that actually the airdrop was kind of cool, because as I told you, it brought a lot of interest and passion, and willingness to contribute in a project that was not even launched yet.
Yeah.
And this is precious, like having time from people, even before you have something concrete to show them. This is really precious. Like they are fidelized to something, and they are empathically bounded to something that is still in early stage. So they are bounded to your vision, because actually what gives Osmosis value are people, the people who are the owner of the token. This is what gives Osmo value, and the value is given because they think it's valuable, and this was all created by Airdrop. So Airdrop are a huge and powerful instrument, but it must be really regulated by the team, because as I said, it brings expectation. So a lot of projects now, like Juno, Region Network, just I dropped to like add-on older region. Like for example, like Terra is going through severe rounds of the airdrop for their users. Even like Torchain is doing the same for like active community members. We have quite a lot like airdrop coming for the Cosmos ecosystem. The point is, will be the team able to manage the influx of new people from the airdrop? This is the big question, because big power, big responsibility.
Yeah, totally. You were mentioning how pissed you were at Sunny about the airdrop at first. My DMs were full of people asking me how to claim the Osmosis airdrop, and I can only imagine that yours were way worse. But I mean, there is like another thing that you just said that really resonates with me. That's kind of a theme of this conversation. Is like blockchains are kind of made out of people in a lot of ways, and it's a lot of individuals' ideas of what is valuable that sort of come together to create this system. And it's really a lot more than just the code. Like the people, it is, and at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be all about the people, because otherwise, what are we building these systems for? And I think that a lot of projects and a lot of technology kind of forgets that. And that's one of the things that I've always seen Cosmos do better than pretty much any other blockchain out there, is like really recognize that it's people behind all of it, and that it's community collaboration. And, you know, I think that that comes from the founders, Bucky and Jay. You know, Jay invented Tendermint to cut down on the carbon waste from proof of work mining. And, you know, Bucky wanted to build software for community collaboration for sort of like non-traditional internet communities. And like those ideas deeply permeate the work that we do. Cool. So questions from the community. Promid, which, by the way, Promid, I think you've asked a question in like the last 15 of my shows. I really appreciate that. Keep them coming. Thank you very much. And he has a question for Daniela. How do you want to reach out to communities that you want to contribute? What is the best way to contribute apart from drafting content and creating videos?
So, like at the very beginning, I started the Cosmos Guardian publication on Medium, and I started interviewing but the smaller validator in the Cosmos ecosystem, because I wanted to highlight their value, the value who they were bringing to the Cosmos ecosystem, and delegation, of course. But in my opinion, we do not need, again, like tons of written contents. We have a huge amount of guide. Like almost every validator wrote its own guide for every chain existent in the ecosystem. So we don't need other like content as tutorial, or other content as like interview, like written interview or transcription of this kind of thing. We need people who invest their time on answering and supporting people and troubleshoot the problem with a wallet.
Yep.
Because like our huge problem right now is that we have newcomer who have no idea how to deal with a Cosmos wallet.
Yep. I think, you know, Daniela, that is the largest crypto user experience problem, one that the entire industry is facing. And it really, at the end of the day, what it requires is folks like you and me getting out there and explaining it to people in a way where they can go out and explain it to other people. Because the idea that a 24-word phrase controls as much money as you want to give it is alien, like really, truly alien to most people. That's a really good point. One other question that I see popping up is, does the IBC ecosystem have a stable coin? And the answer is not yet, but soon, quite a few.
Yeah, they are coming.
Yep. Terra UST has already expressed that they're going to be joining the IBC network sometime in the next month or two. And then Kava has their own stablecoin USDX. And they also recently announced a partnership with Circle to bring USDC onto Kava. And Kava will be joining the IBC network sometime in Q4. So those are the stable coins in IBC. Well, Daniela, we are a little bit over, so it's just about time to wrap this here. Please address a question. Was writing. Okay, Sergey, rocket. But let me also pump. We have a IBC explainer for folks that are sort of new to the ecosystem. We've seen a lot of Daniela and I have both seen quite a few questions around where are my funds? Why is this taking so long? And what the fuck is going on? What is IBC? So we will be really sure to answer all of those questions in quite a bit of detail, talk about timeouts, talk about how funds are SAFU, and talk about how IBC works at a protocol level, hopefully to demystify it and do some of this sort of explaining to a broader audience that we were talking about earlier. So thank you very much for your time, Daniela. I will see you here in just a few minutes. But I do want to go ahead and say thank you very much again to our sponsors, Sommelier Finance, and we will be launching a mainnet here this month. So please keep an eye out for that. I am doing this instead of coding, so I'm glad to see you all. And then we also have OmniFlix Media as well. Thank you very much to Sisla and team. Please go to their website and check it out. I think Sisla's probably going to be launching a chain sometime this year. And whenever the time is right for the OmniFlix conversations with Jack, it may be soon. So we will see. But I can't wait to talk a lot more about what they're offering at that time. So thank you very much. Also, Bitcoin Obsessions, thank you. I appreciate it. You guys have a great one, and we'll see you soon.